Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lids, and we're back for some more Gwent, and today we're playing the new Double Down seasonal event, which is an alternate game mode in which whenever we play a unit, we will play another random unit from our deck with the same provision cost. That means we play twice as many units as usual, giving us crazy combo potential. So let's go take a look at the deck. So today we'll be playing a Northern Realms Stockpile Siege Engine deck, which years ago used to be far and away the strongest deck in this event, but it has been quite some time since that was last the case. However, there's one very notable card that has changed that, and it is of course the Onager, which was already an amazing card in Standard when you spam a bunch of orders, in particular on a bunch of additional Siege Engines, but now in Double Down, where we can get twice as many Onagers and twice as many other Siege Engines, other order ability units, and this thing is absolutely insane. So, with that in mind, we have tons of damage from tons of Siege Engines. Technically, we don't actually have the Siege scenario itself, because our provisions are better spent on things like double Amphibious Assault, double Oneiromancy, since of course we get 2 copies of every card in our deck in this event, so that just gives us crazy tutoring potential. Add Henselt to that, we have even more tutors. Donimir for a little bit of safety. Yennefer Conjuror, great way to deal a bunch of damage, of course, with any order that you can use every turn. Sabrina's Inferno, basically purely a counter for Nilfgaard Spy Spam, which unfortunately has become far and away the most common deck for people to play in this event. Basically, whenever your opponent is trying to flood your side of the board with non-stop spies, usually they're 1 power, of course, play this. That way, you create additional board space. Yes, you're dealing damage to your own units, but your opponents are obviously going to have units that get hit as well. And in almost every circumstance, when your opponent is trying to play a spy spam deck, their entire win condition is based on preventing you from playing any units, and if you can find a way to work around that, then they have no way to win. So even if you're dealing a little bit of damage to yourself with Sabrina's Inferno, it more than pays off, at least against that specific matchup, which is, again, the most common matchup. Foltest Pride, the preferred target for Henselt. Vysogota, another great way to spam a bunch of orders. Obviously, in this case, it's boosts, but if you have an Onager on the board with Vysogota, then the damage potential is off the charts. Necromancy, to get back some really nice bronze engines, most importantly, is usually Onager. Margarita, another way to spam orders, in this case, a little bit of extra control in case your opponent has something important to lock. Ship Ballista, because we have so many units with so many orders, you can of course get ridiculous value on this as well. Lyrian Arbalest, played early, we have so many cards with order abilities, it's going to gain a ton of charges, give you tons of damage, especially when combined with the Onager. The Onager, as we were saying before, Reinforced Ballista, another way to spam orders, get a bunch of damage, great with the Onager, great with everything else. Bombardment, great way to finish rounds, because even without spies, sometimes you can get a ton of units on your board and it can be pretty tough to play more stuff, so this is a good way to get a ton of value at the end of the round without needing to play any more units. Mahakam Ale, basically just a way to unlock, but this is mostly just a filler card, not really something you're going to play all that often. Teleportation, much like Sabrina's Inferno, another way to counter the spy spammers. So basically, if they play a bunch of bronze spies on your side of the board, you use teleportation to replay the spies, put them on their side of the board. Not only do you get the value of whatever that spy was going to do, you also clear out some board space for you to use in the future. Then Siege Tower is just another value option to spam orders. So there's a look at the deck, and overall it is very simple. Spam orders, get a ton of damage, and even a fair bit of boosts as well. And with all that damage, it is really hard to stop us. So let's go see it in action. Alright, so going up against Nilfgaard here, and we'll go first. Alright, so as always, you have to act on the assumption that Nilfgaard is going spy spam of some variety, so they're going to try to flood our board, make it so that we can't play any cards, or at least any units, very quickly and make it tough for us to get any value. That's probably one of, if not their only, main win conditions, so as long as we can bounce back from that, we should still be fine. Teleportation is a good way to counter that. Necromancy, round 1, a little bit questionable. So, I mean, the Onagers are great. Might want to try to save some of those, but Yennefer can work well as well, and the Amphibious Assault and Oneiromancy are very useful too. Henselt give us a lot of value as well. We do go first here. So, think we're trying to set things up a little bit proactively. We might even go Donimir first, is a little bit tempting, since we don't have anything to immediately target with our damage engines. And, I mean, we could get some Onagers out here proactively, but this is Nilfgaard. Presumably, they're about to use Duchess's Informants to create a bunch of copies of these, and or lock them. So that's why I'm thinking maybe at least getting one Donimir out here would be kind of nice. I think you go Nero into Nero, that way you get both echoed copies. And let's get, wherever he is hiding, a Donimir We'll go range row. We'll see what we get. The second one, yeah, it is the other Donimir. We do have another, at least one other 9 provision cost card, Yennefer Conjuror, so I was kind of hoping we'd get the other one of this out. That way we could save a Donimir, because, as I was just saying, defenders can be pretty useful. Pretty useful. And they are Toussaintois Hospitality, which presumably means they are going to do a lot of boosting on our cards. Don't know how much to read into that. Of course, they're doing it here, absolutely. But, I mean, that was, of course, once upon a time, our biggest deck ever was, we scored 1,000 points doing, before Toussaintois Hospitality even existed, that type of thing. So, it is possible they're doing a little bit more, dare I say, wholesome of a setup, but not ready to give them that benefit of the doubt just yet. So now I think, especially when they have 2 units that are on the same number here, it is tempting to go Yennefer Conjuror. Otherwise, you could go Henselt, and we certainly have the protection there. Maybe, yeah, I mean, this way we get some thinning as well. So let's do it. We'll go Foltest Pride. And we'll get another one of you out. I should put you here. And then do this. And then go bada boom. And bada boom. Okay, Yenvo removes the big defender that they had boosted. Alright, honestly, could have been a lot worse. Could have been a lot worse. So I think we'll take that. So now we could go Onager is not bad. We have at least some orders on the board. Granted, Foltest Pride will be on cooldown for this turn unless we were to use a leader ability charge. So maybe that means we'd prefer to go Reinforced Ballista here. And well, there is an Onager. Alright, fair enough. I think we'll still try to hide this as well behind the defender. This is why Donimir is important. Granted, they might be able to punish us for row sacking. We'll see. False Ciri. They're going to have to put it in melee row. Obviously, they have the Buhurts to boost her up. Okay, conveniently, those did remain on the same number, so if we were to play Yennefer Conjuror here, we would still get pretty solid value there. So that is certainly an option, for what it's worth. We could use Teleportation just to reset the power of False Ciri. It's not a very good play, don't get me wrong, but it does make it harder for them to get the value from it, which is kind of hilarious. Kind of like to Amphibious Assault, so we get the echoed copies of that. So what would we like to do there? I mean, it might not need to be that big, what we go for there. In fact, we might even just go into some little siege towers. I'm going to put them in the melee row just because we're running out of space in the range row, and these are not super important. So now, I guess we held off on Yennefer Conjuror, so not that picky on the way in which we target units here. I didn't bother with the crew pocket on these guys, since, as I was saying, obviously we went melee row. Okay, Matza, making this round go longer is a little bit interesting. Obviously, primarily a way for them to draw cards, but we do have a Bombardment now, which is actually quite useful when we have all these siege engines on the board, and that should make it quite possible for us to take out Ciri Nova. In fact, very possible for us to take out Ciri Nova, so that's kind of nice. Lyrian Arbalest is quite effective here, too. I mean, all of these could be. A little bit later than we'd like to be playing a Lyrian Arbalest. Maybe we'll go with another Onager instead. Keep the crew pocket there. Probably going to end up getting one of you out anyway. Okay, fair enough. I think we'll still hide you behind the defender. We'll go, maybe just remove the shield on you initially. And then let's do this. We'll get, what is the most important thing for us to draw into here? Probably our other Amphibious Assault. They have not really done much in the way of spy spam. Good on them. But that means Teleportation maybe not all that necessary. There's the other Ciri Nova. But I think this could be the turn in which we... Okay, there's the Kahir that I was expecting them to use to benefit more from the tall stuff they'd been doing. Okay, and solid tempo, but now perhaps, let's see, how they have a couple cards lined up at 14, so we could still go Yennefer Conjuror. And this round has gone for a long time, but that is in part because of that Matza play. So there's still several cards left to be played if we would like for this round to go longer. Could, of course, play our other Amphibious Assault and get even more units on the board here. It might not be a terrible idea to get a ship Ballista, because we have a lot of units with a lot of orders right about now. So you know what? Maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll get one of you out. That'll get you out as well. And now I think we maybe just go after you. Okay, and now I guess we'll hit Kahir. He could end up getting quite big and potentially tricky for us to remove, but if they don't boost him on their next turn, a bombardment could prove still to be quite effective. Sanreal. Very interesting. Clever play. So when she comes back, she gets purified this false series, so they don't suffer the downside of her getting destroyed from that infusion. So clever, yes, we are technically still in the lead, but we could... We could Yennefer Conjuror here, but at this point I think that's not a huge deal. Their cards are not very well lined up, and we would have preferred to have played her earlier in the round. Onager's still certainly an option. It's not great. Maybe we try to go a little bit longer here, or we go... Tell you what. Sure, we'll go... Hit you. We'll go Bombardment. That allows us to do this again. It also allows us to do this again. And this. And this. And who knows what that's going to click on. Probably would prefer for it to be Kahir, but so be it. Alright, so... Yes, at that point, we had used pretty much all the setup we were looking to use and got really solid value out of that, so that is nice. They've committed Kahir, which was, of course, one of their biggest cards. They technically do have another one still in their deck, because this is double down, but might have dodged one of their biggest win conditions. Okay, and then the other thing is that we played a whole bunch of echoed cards. Amphibious Assault and Oneiromancy. I believe we have another echoed Oneiromancy if we were to mulligan out some of our bronzes here. And since we are going to need stuff to tutor out with these cards, actually not a terrible idea for us to do that. And same could be said for even this Onager and this Lyrian Arbalest. Want to make sure we have plenty of stuff we can get out. But this is maybe still okay. We did play one more card than our opponent in round one, so we're probably going to dry pass here. Especially because we don't have any additional echoed cards to play to get the double echoed copies for the next round. Already all set with that stuff, so I think we'll just dry pass here, and we know they tried already to use Resilience with Siri Nova. They've played both of those, so unlikely they're about to get some carryover here, but we shall see. We know that's the Donimir that they stole from Yennefer. Darlin Soldiers, I mean, the first one won't work, but maybe they'll get another one out here. No, it doesn't. Okay, so they tried to get the thinning, but it did not work. So, purely just a throwaway for them to win round two. Okay, so now we draw to Vysogota. That is certainly one of our biggest cards that we have left. Then, Teleportation, I'm on the fence. They did not do any spy spam in round one. So maybe we give them the benefit of the doubt and we mulligan this and focus on other things instead. But that still makes me a little bit uncomfortable, given how this is double down, this is Nilfgaard, and unfortunately, that is what 90% of Nilfgaard players do, and I wish I was exaggerating, but I'm not. Okay, Nilfgaardian Knight, they don't have anything to boost, which is kind of good, except that they are Toussaintois Hospitality, so it's not a terrible thing for them to do the boosting. Okay, so now the tough part here with this round is that we got double Donimir in round one, and I would have preferred to have still had at least one Donimir for this round, so we're going to have a bunch of engines still, and not great ways to protect them. And this is Nilfgaard. It is important to protect your units. So, just out of curiosity, did we get something that got deck boosted from the ship Ballista in round one? No, I don't think so. Okay, so that's not a factor. We could go Yennefer Conjuror. That's maybe not a terrible way to start things off. They're, of course, even out at 8 power apiece on both their Nilfgaardian Knights, so it's solid value. Earlier we played Vysogota the better, of course, but the problem with him is he is very answerable. There's the Donimir they stole. Fortunately, Yennefer can go through defenders, so that's really nice. Okay, so we could, speaking of going through defenders, we could go with Onager, and that will still deal damage, even with their defenders. Vysogota, again, the earlier we play, the stronger it becomes. So that would be nice. We have a bunch of tutors here, so we could use that to get out more Onagers, Lyrian Arbalest, Sol, that stuff. But we probably would like to have Vysogota on the board before we do that, because that's a lot of cards we're going to play when we do that, and that means a lot of value for Vysogota, so it's at least worth taking our chances on that. So maybe we take the risk. Maybe we do go Vysogota now. It'll be double Vysogota. We should probably boost this Vysogota, to tell you the truth. Safest way to go about doing that. So now, does Vysogota get answered? Lock, damage, or what? Movement. Vigo could give them some form of control. We'll see. It's Lyrian Soldier, and then it's... Ooh. Okay. Here. There's the big Lyrian Soldiers. Their range row is suddenly very full, and it's almost tempting to go into a Sabrina's Inferno here, to be honest with you, because that's a lot of value on that damage. It would hurt our cards as well, but they have so many more units than we have that that's maybe not a terrible thing. And it's usually here to be a counter for spy spam, so we get rid of all the 1-power cards they flood our side of the board with. But again, if we are willing to take the bet that they are not looking to do that all that much, then suddenly that might not be terrible for us to do that. So, you know what? I think we'll give it a shot here. I think we will actually give it a shot here. It will get the kill, so we'll repeat. And then do this, we'll do this, and then we will definitely want to boost up our cards here. Be a little bit careful with those Vysogota charges as well, because if you still have some active at the end of your turn, then the game will automatically target one of the cards on the board, and it might end up being one of your opponent's cards. Oftentimes it is. Okay, so those are going to be ways to set up Kahir, but if we can break through you, then we could potentially get to Kahir before these guys go off. Oh, that's why they wanted to do the Lyrian Soldiers. They had so many cards that would get boosted in the process, so yes, I think good thing that we did destroy those while we still had the chance. And I think the double Yennefer can be a pretty big factor here. Let's go get some Onagers out, because I think we are about to spam a bunch of orders here. Go here as well. So let's do... Let's see, if we go... no, we have some things tied at 6. It's not terrible to lead off with this. And then... I think melee row is the row we really want to target. Boost up some more units. Get some value from the Onager in the process. Want to be a little bit careful to play around things like Igni. Okay, I also don't want to have this last charge active when our turn was about to end, so close to answering Kahir here. And in fact, on our next turn, we can almost certainly make that happen unless they do a lot of stuff now, which they might be able to make happen. Of course, these guys are now much further away from activating their Grace ability, but we're going to boost soldiers and their copies of it. I imagine they're going for the Knight Challengers. If they get double... Oh, no, they're going for the Nilfgaardian Knight. Okay, I mean, if you insist. All right, so we can go Onager, or we could even probably Amphibious Assault. Do we still have an Onager in our deck? We do not, so we just go Reinforced Ballista, I think, or even Arbalest, which will give us either another Arbalest or Reinforced Ballista. Order of operations wise, I think is a little bit better. So sure, let's do that. Yeah, and we'll go melee row here. Okay, so now, let's see, let's just get rid of... Oh no, we have several things tied at 5. So we can do that. Several things tied at 4. We'll do this. Then let's get rid of Kahir, I think. Or at least try to. We will. And again, we'll be a little bit careful about lining up the power of our cards here. Don't want to be inviting in Igni too much, but we are close to doing that. So as much as we could potentially remove every single card on their side of the board, we can do that on our next turn. And that also the Envo is something that can slow us down if we get too aggressive boosting any one unit. Let's get this Onager down now, I think is probably best. And this Oneiromancy, I mean, that will give us a lot of charges on our one existing Vysogota, but I'm not entirely sure what we're going to want to use that for just yet, so let's hold off for the time being. Let's go here. Maybe you'll be the recipient of the boost now, and also this. It's not bad either. And at this point, we probably have more charges than we realistically need. We just do that, and now we can save you. Your charges there. Don't even need your charges. Then let's boost up this guy. And this guy. I mean, technically, I suppose you can make the case for saving those charges until they have units on the board, and then we get extra damage from the Onagers, but let's keep them out of removal range as well. And they'll forfeit. We removed every single unit, so we'll take the win. Alright, so going up against Nilfgaard here, and they'll go first. Alright, so we have some big cards here. We have Donimir that helps us protect our big things like Vysogota, like Foltest Pride, King Henselt. However, probably going to use Henselt to get Foltest Pride, so I think we can actually dump that here. Onager, really good in this deck. I think Ship Ballista, we can probably dump one of those. Teleportation, important because this is Nilfgaard. I suspect, I mean, it's pretty likely that they are someone who is here to spam spies and nothing else, because unfortunately that's what this event has come down to. Yeah, here it is. They're just trying to flood our side of the board with as many cards as possible. And in this case, to be fair, okay, it's not spies yet, but you can be almost certain that it will be soon. And, well, you know they're up to something with all these practitioners, so that's a little concerning, of course. We have to be a little bit careful what cards we put into our deck, because they could create a copy themselves. Granted, I think we know that they're going to play a Vilgefortz, and that's going to be the way they set up probably a bazillion T-Bors. So why don't we go maybe even Yennefer Conjuror first? So they could end up getting a lot of cards at the same amount of power. Once we do this, at least. Granted, those guys are probably going to get boosted every turn, but if they do have a bunch of stuff at 5 power, this could be very effective. Alright, so Nero, granted, we could potentially create a bunch of Oneiros if they don't do something else soon. Snowdrop, okay. Well, to be honest, it's a bit of a misplay on their part because they just handed us a couple of Oneiromancies, so that's pretty nice, especially when we did not have any Oneiros or Amphibious Assaults in hand, so I think we'll definitely take those. And then from here, probably want to get an Onager out here soon. This might even be our next play, because we at least have Yennefer who will give it extra value. Let's see what else we end up getting. A little bit more potential for orders. Another Doedric. Iteran. Okay. They're gonna create a bunch of additional Imperial Practitioners, or at least that's their plan. Again, it's pretty obvious what they're trying to do here. They're trying to get as many Practitioners as they can possibly get, and then use that to create additional somethings. We could even place our second Donimir. In fact, we could have done that even earlier. Block the Practitioner in this row as well, and then it'd be very difficult for them to do that type of thing, which is kind of tempting, although at this point with 4 Practitioners, it's already probably a little bit too late for us to do that. Might make sense to go with Ballista here. Well, I suppose we already have a way to destroy that Practitioner. So we have a few ways to load up on additional damage and potentially reduce the number of copies they're going to create of whatever card it is they're trying to create. So, I mean, also, Henselt's not a terrible option here, to be honest, and we perhaps should have done that earlier. Because if we do that, we can get a Foltest Pride, and we can put that here, and then we can go with another Foltest, and then we can put this here, and then we're gonna have to go pretty quickly here. And this takes a little while to do all this, so maybe we'll do that, and we'll do this, and we'll try. This is probably gonna hit one of our own units. Yep, it is. Fair enough. We still get the bonus damage from the Onager, so I guess it's kind of still worth it. But now our range row is completely full, so we'll definitely save Vysogota for a later round. Okay, and here's where they start doing the spy spam. It's to create more of these practitioners, as we suspected would be the case. We can, of course, answer those fairly quickly, as long as they don't load up on even more boosts, but we are planning on doing some more damage right about now. Probably go melee row reinforced ballista here. That's a way to get some more value, and we'll take more Onager action as well. So now, why don't we just guarantee that we're going to get rid of some of these guys. And, I mean, could even go after Idoran here if we really wanted to, but I was kind of eyeing this practitioner, I suppose. Yes, Idoran is sort of one of the sources of creating more practitioners long-term, although at this point maybe he's not as relevant. Maybe he's, by and large, already done his job, but I suppose we could also be doing a little bit more to try to set up Yennefer, although Snowdrop has very clearly become the biggest unit here. I guess, sure, we'll try hitting you. Then we'll do this. We could even go with teleportation on this informant. That is technically what teleportation is for, is in case our opponents try to spy spam us, and so that's not a terrible option. We could then use that to create more practitioners on our side. It's not really all that valuable for us at this stage. They're going to try to go defender. They might have another defender. They do. Okay, that does make matters a little bit tricky. The Onager can still hit through the defender, but obviously anything that requires targeting a specific unit like the Arbalest becomes much trickier here. But we do have a fair bit of damage. We could even break out a ship ballista right around now, because it's close to the end of the round, and this is going to start looking at having a lot of damage on that order. Otherwise, teleportation at this point, yeah, with the defenders is really no longer much of an option. Or you go siege tower. There really isn't a great place to play this anymore, so I think we will go the ballista route. And, okay, that's a bit unfortunate on the Margarita timing. We might just wait on that, because there isn't a great way to use her right now. So, I mean, we don't really have any alternative but to try to hit the defenders right now. Let's see if we happen to get decent value on the Onager. I can get rid of Idoran, which is kind of nice. The adjacent unit damage. So they've yet to pull the trigger, of course. They're trying to set up a Vysogota here, but we need a card in our graveyard for them to do that. More Duchess's Informants. I mean, if we get rid of this defender, then we can use a teleportation to replay the Duchess's Informant. So this is what I was kind of expecting initially, of course. Okay. And might even be looking at needing to do that quite soon here. Otherwise, I mean, yes, we can start to certainly destroy this defender on this turn if we'd like to. There aren't a lot of alternatives here. Siege Tower at this point is not great, but that's really the only alternative we're looking at here. I mean, I guess we'll do it. There's no crew pocket here, I don't believe, anymore. Okay, so now we just hit you, hit you. Now we can lock, so I suppose we will just lock the biggest one, I guess. And sure, let's get rid of a big one. I know it means less deck boosting, but I think we're mostly looking for the removal here. I think that's more valuable at this stage, because fewer practitioners means, of course, fewer copies of whatever it is they're going to try to create a copy of. They assume that we can't do anything at this stage because our board is completely full, but that's where teleportation comes in. I think we're still only going to be able to fit one copy of whatever card it is we create a copy of, and it's going to be a practitioner. We're going to play a 5 provision cost card from our deck, that means, and that's going to end up getting discarded because we won't have any board space here. And that's actually where they're going to have the opportunity to do the Vysogot's graveyard swap, for what it's worth. Okay, but this is interesting, because we do have a lead here. We're going to get a little more value from the siege towers, so we are already ahead of them. They've played one more card than us, so we could pass here. It basically means we're giving them the opportunity to do their switch on their next turn. Granted, they do still need something in our graveyard, and given how no matter what we do, we're going to add a card to our graveyard on this turn if we play, I think there actually is a pretty strong case for us passing here. Obviously, we have a ton of engines on the board, so we could still get decent value from clicking on all these orders. But I think we do still pass here. Obviously, they will be able to outscore us on this turn, but it's just a matter of can they actually use these practitioners on this turn or not. And even if they do, can they make that work being 2 cards down? Now, I suspect the card they're trying to create copies of is Tibor, which does kind of further warp the whole card advantage-disadvantage aspect, but we'll see what exactly they're going for. It might be the Cultist scenario. That's also a possibility here. There's the Vilgefortz. There isn't anything for them to use it on. So they are officially bricking their entire strategy, is what they're doing. They kind of forgot about an important part. They got a little too caught up in creating all the practitioners, forgot about how they needed something in our graveyard to do the swapping with. And that's why we passed on that turn, not only because we had the lead, but also because we knew it was going to make it tough for them to do this. They probably would have had to have gone another turn just to put something in their graveyard. They didn't do that, though, and so they forfeit. So there's a look at a high-damage Northern Realms Siege deck for the new Double Down seasonal event. If you liked the video, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button, and leave a comment down below to let me know which other cards, archetypes, and factions we should experiment with next. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you next time.